All right, good morning. I'm going to go over briefly probability distribution for sampling. The outcomes of many samples have a regular pattern, sort of like a coin. And the idea of probability is the pattern we see in the long run. So for instance, if I were to ask 1,523 people whether or not they bought a lottery ticket within the past 6 months, well, the way you can come up with this probability is p hat equals the number of people who say yes divided by your sample size. Well, if I were to do this sample 1,000 times, your result is going to be a distribution sort of like the histogram or this normal plot down below. Now, what happens is in a long run, so over at, let's say, based on 1,000 samples, you're going to get an average of about 0.6. So you're going to get a mean of 0.6. All right. Now, this is on page 380 of your textbook. Eventually what will happen is the sampling distribution tells us what the values the statistic takes in repeated samples from the same population and how often it takes those values. So for instance, if I were to ask what is the probability that the poll will get a sample in which 52% or more say yes? Well, remember way back in the first semester when we talked about z-score. Okay, so you do your p hat minus p, or actually minus your mean, not minus p, but your mean there, divided by standard deviation. So in this case, you take 52%, which is 0.52, that's what we want to find out, and that's this right here, minus your mean, which is 0.5, divided by standard deviation. Disregard that p, that's supposed to be a mean. The probability that more than 52% would say yes, so basically this comes up when we find that z-score and then we convert it to a p-value. Well, we end up getting 0.8186 when we go to table A. Well, the complement to that means, because the whole distribution is equal to 1, it's 1 minus this, that means 0.1814. That means 18.14% would say yes. Okay, so the probability that more than 52% would say yes is 0.1814. And that's how you would do a sampling distribution. This is just recollecting or basically going over what you have learned from the first semester.